We have with us as our guest today Senator Bill Weber, and we first of all have to apologize. We had some technical difficulties on our end, and Senator Weber's been a guest on the show at least a half a dozen times, but we're doing this by phone. If the audio is a little bit off, we apologize, but Senator Weber, thank you for being on AM Rockland today.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Okay, pretty good. And the reason why you're on, and I reached out to you last night, you were at the meeting that we had in Haverstraw at Town Hall last week about what we're calling, I'm just trying to summarize it, is the CHPE Orange and Rockland retail crisis, where the businesses on the 9W corridor losing a heck of a lot of money because of traffic delays and disruptions, especially during daytime construction. So thank you for being at that meeting. I think it's something where the businesses are suffering, and we certainly need representation. The senators are stepping up to plate. Do we have any updates on anything that's happened over the last few weeks?
Yeah, so why don't I'll backtrack and I'll just kind of give you the timeline. So obviously we saw the businesses come together and meet with their local elected officials in Stony Point about the impacts that the construction from CHPE and O&R have all had on their businesses. And I was brought into a conversation with Supervisor George Holman of Clarkstown regarding businesses that were affected on the 303 the 9W corridor in Congress as well. At that point, I had reached out to Supervisor Howard Phillips of Haverstraw, and we had some good conversations with him and also Stephanie from the North Rockland Chamber, who was a big part of the meeting in Stony Point as well, to talk about how many and what businesses in Haverstraw were affected. And we decided to have a forum, and Supervisor Phillips was very gracious enough to host that forum at Town Hall. And I was there along with Assemblyman Pat Carroll and Stephanie from the Chamber, and members of the Town of Haverstraw board were also there as well. We invited CHPE, who didn't come. We invited some other elected officials who weren't able to make it that day as well. And obviously, we invited businesses that were reached out through the North Rockland Chamber and other businesses not in the chamber as well,
right,
to really hear from them to talk, so we can hear firsthand what impact their businesses have had. And we heard that they did have a lot of impact. The construction has a lot of impact on their business. So we kind of wanted to make it aware to the public so that people have the opportunity to connect with North Rockland Chamber, so we can get a full picture of what the impact has been through North Rockland businesses and then obviously Clarkstown businesses as well.
Right. And there was obviously a lot of emotion in the room. That was the second of 3 meetings that have already been conducted, and I think one more is on the way. Emotionally, and it's an interesting thing when money gets involved in any sort of endeavor, but you could definitely hear the frustration of the people in the room that were losing 10, 20, 30, 40. I think there was a few that were like over 50% in loss of sales over the summertime. As a representative, I'm just how do you channel that and turn it into action? Well, what is the process from your perspective? Because you're channeling emotion and turning it into logical course of action. How does that process go?
Sure. So I understand their frustration and I understand their anxiety. I'm a CPA, and then prior to being in elective office, I worked as a CFO for a small business for nearly 30 years. And small business owners, like these businesses that were affected, they're not conglomerates. They're small businesses, put their own hard-earned money, their sweat and equity into their businesses. And then to have, through no fault of their own, massive losses because of a construction project that should have been done, I think, 2 years ago, as Supervisor Phillips said, through no fault of their own, is very concerning. So what we're going to do and what we'll continue to do is, get a full accounting of what transpired, what the losses are so that we can go back to CHPE, and if we have to include the governor, which I think we all agree we will do, and other state, local elected officials to sign on to a letter to try and get the governor involved in this as well, to find a way to get more money compensated to these businesses. We know at the first meeting in Stony Point, CHPE agreed to compensate, or at least give money through the chamber, about $100,000. About an hour or two before the meeting we had on September 4th, CHPE sent an email to North Rockland Chamber upping the amount from $100,000 to $150,000. Obviously, as a direct reaction to us calling that meeting, because I think they recognize that the $100,000 and now the $150,000, I think is very insufficient. I think I called it a drop in the bucket, because when you add the number of businesses and the number of months that these businesses were affected, each business would not get a lot based on that $150,000. So we need to put pressure on CHPE, which is a large company owned by a large company, to make good with these businesses that were affected.
Senator Weber, I know Tom said a percentage. Do we actually have a financial number of how much loss? Like, because it seems to me that the amount of businesses on that corridor aren't we talking about millions of dollars at this point of loss?
Listen, it could be. Again, I don't know until we get the full picture and what the businesses that have already been contacted, and if you're a business out there listening that haven't contacted the chamber, do so. They're going to take that information. I think they're going to try and allocate it based on previous year's tax returns to see how much your monthly rent were or your monthly carrying costs were over a certain amount of months, and then they would try and do the allocation based on that. But as I said before, and I think as you rightly said, if you take the number of businesses and you multiply it by a few months times their monthly rent or their monthly carrying cost, it's a lot of money, and it's a lot more than $150. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it might be $150 per business.
Yeah, you know,
how many businesses do we have on that corridor? 200.
Well, you know, and I threw out this number.
I don't know. You could say that all 200 were directly impacted, but there's sure a lot. You saw how many businesses showed up at the Stony Point Chamber, how many showed up at the meeting we had in Haverstraw, how many businesses that reached out to us at Congress, and those are just businesses that we know about that are, I think, are high profile, maybe, or companies that are in the chamber. You know, there's obviously a lot of small businesses, maybe some of the bagel shops and some of the other small companies who obviously may not be a part of the chamber have also been affected. So we really don't have a full picture yet.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, I hate to even call it like, you know, it's when you have such a large company, there's so many decisions that are made. I mean, not just at the top level, but also administratively, and there's scheduling involved. I'm sure, you know, you got local construction and unions and, you know, everything to primordial ooze, you know. I find it interesting that it's almost like the businesses, because I had a small business. My grandfather had a bike store in West Haverstraw, and it's almost like feeling like there's something there that's completely out of one's control, and it's got to be scary, you know. If I'm just trying to think through that a little bit. Have you had any meetings with any of the other assembly persons? I know Assembly Person Eachus was at the meeting over in Stony Point on Tuesday, and I think he also has sent a letter over to the governor. Have you had any other meetings thus far?
No, I've had informal conversations with, you know, the other state officials in the area.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We've also had conversation with the supervisors of the towns that are impacted as well. So we'll continue those conversations. We're going to keep the pressure up.
Right.
And I encourage everyone out there, like I said, if you haven't contacted the chamber, contact the chamber, whether or not you're a member, or not. We need to try and get a full accounting so that we know what the next ask of CHPE is going to be.
Absolutely.
So
go ahead, Mike.
For our listeners that might be in that situation where they have not reached out and they are just feeling this pressure, the place to go to there's a website for the chamber, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
that would be
There is.
Yeah. So it's northrocklandchamber.org. And if you wanted to go direct, I mean, the button is like right on the homepage, but if you wanted to go right to the form, it's northrocklandchamber.org/rescue. But if you go right to the website,
I'm on there now. It's right on their main page. You can navigate right through it.
very cool. Yeah.
Just remember, folks, Senator Weber is not a mind reader.
Yeah.
If you do not tell him, he cannot help you.
Yeah, we should do a show on minds reading because I think we're all flummoxed by it.
Because we all want everyone to read our minds. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. That is for fiction and fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have anything coming up? I know I'm going to see you over at the senior fair on September 17th over at Rockland Community College.
Yeah, we're excited about that. It's next Wednesday.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, next Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Rockland Community College Fieldhouse. We have, I think, 152 vendors signed up, which is an all-time high and all-time record for these senior fairs. Last year, we had well over 1,200 people, I think, attending, and we expect more than that this year. We provide free lunch, so any senior out there, know that you'll get a free lunch, and you'll have the opportunity to walk the aisles, take as much free pamphlets and information on from senior appropriate vendors, from state agencies to local agencies to insurance companies to all different, I think what I call senior appropriate vendors, where you'll get a lot of information. You could talk to the various agencies and companies one-on-one to get as much information as you need. If you need assistance getting in from your car, I know the Rockland Community College parking lot, especially when you have a lot of people, that parking lot is very big.
Oh yeah.
We have a couple of golf carts that we are providing that we're going to try and accommodate anyone who needs assistance right into the field house itself. So we're trying to, take some of the comments we've heard from people in previous years to try and make it a better and most successful event. So we're excited. We expect a lot of people, and it's a great community benefit. That's really been going on for a number of years. I think Senator David Carlucci started it years ago, and we've taken it to, we think, the next level in terms of effort and how many vendors are going to be there.
I'll never forget the first time that I got the opportunity to meet Senator Carlucci at the time, and we were at an event down by the Hudson River called the Dinner for Hope, and he was walking past someone that just stopped him in his tracks, and she goes, "You know what? I don't agree with this, and this that you're doing, and I just don't like this, and this." And he really innocently said this. He goes, "So it sounds like I can still count on your vote." So it's pretty chill. Hey, Senator Weber, thanks for being on AM Rockland's News. Thanks for the stuff that you're doing, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. I'll see you next Wednesday, and have a great weekend.
You too. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Thank you for allowing me to update people.
Okay.
Keep up the pressure. Get the governor to give us some money.
Yes, objectively speaking. Objectively.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Senator Bill Weber. And for those of you that are listening with Mike and I, AM Rockland's News, I just want to apologize about the audio issues. This was a very patched together, very quick phone call with Senator Weber. He's usually on the podcast. And we had him on and many times before, and the audio quality was just, I think it was good. It was really good, but this time it didn't work. So I had to pull the rabbit out of my hat. I was like, okay, let's call him. I literally was holding the phone up to the microphone.
Let's hope Senator Weber can pull a rabbit out of his hat and get these small businesses compensated.
As Mike Zoot would say, most indeed. Most indeed. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how the workings of the political system is at Senator Weber's level going up to the governor, but
yeah, I know nothing.
It is hopeful that all of the Rockland politicians are getting together and trying to apply some pressure. New York State does have a decent tax base, so I mean,
yeah, definitely.
There should be something that somebody can do about something.
Yeah, and I'm interested in several parts of the story, and it's tough for me because I live right here, Like, how do I objectively report on this? And I just,
By the numbers, Tommy. By the numbers.
well, even that, I mean, like, I love math. I really do. I love math because, like you said, numbers don't lie. But I have to defer to people that are better at math. And our next guest is going to be Joe Call, North Rockland Central School District, really cool dude. And he's not a member of the North Rockland Central School District, but he's a participant of, I should say that. I don't
a citizen.
Well, I don't have his official title or anything. But what I do
Citizen of North Rockland. Just as we are citizens of North Rockland.
We are citizens of North Rockland. We should get a card
that says citizen of North
Rockland.
We should all have t-shirts.
I am a citizen of North Rockland. It's like low key, like, put it in like small cap letters, something like that. But this dude, he was over at the last meeting, with I think like about 20 or 30 business owners and the North Rockland Chamber and Senator Weber there. No, it was Assembly Person Chris Eachus.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying that name right. Eachus, Chris. Town Supervisor Monahan, Stephanie Mulaski from the North Rockland Chamber, Mary Morrison Rodriguez, Rocky Alexander, both from the North Rockland Chamber and everything.
And Rocky is also a small business owner on the corridor that we're having an issue with.
Yeah, exactly.
Rock's Kitchen. Right?
Yeah, literally like a stone's throw away from our home office over here.
I think he and I graduated in the same year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a cool dude. So
he's homegrown North Rockland for sure.
And Joe Call ran through these numbers. He says, I want to give you an idea of the numbers that are being worked on, that are being used with the pipeline construction. He's talking about like the many billions of dollars and everything.
Right. And
he ran through, I mean, literally and passionately, I should say that as a disclaimer, but passionately ran through the numbers of like, remittances if the organization was to do something for the businesses. In other words, and their current offer is $150,000. Okay. But Joe ran through the numbers and I was like, whoa, dude, we got to get you on the show.
Well, maybe he can answer the question of how much money is North Rockland losing because of this pipeline?
Well, that's the thing. So, I don't know if he knows what the businesses are losing, but he does know what the organization is making and spending, like from what he told me.
Well,
what he told us, actually.
This could be some good leverage points for Senator Weber to take to the governor.
That is possible. That is very possible. I don't know anything about that, but that is possible.
If numbers don't lie, and the politicians need to see the numbers, let's give them the numbers.
Yeah.
Because the politicians are not mind readers, people. And some of them, like Senator Bill Weber, would like to hear your input because he wants to solve the problem.
Yeah. Just hang on with us, everybody. We're patching this together today because we haven't been on for a few weeks. Mike was over at, what were you doing, man?
Oh, well, there's a garden center trade show. And I was learning all about plants and dirt and soil. And, they say, and I will quote this a lot, the greatest form of nonviolent revolution is to grow your own food.
Oh, yeah.
So
sustainable, man.
So be sustainable. Grow your own stuff. So I'm learning more about that every day. Mm-hmm. I've been gardening since I was a wee child, but there's always new stuff to learn.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think something that happened over there is it was really warm one day. And you mentioned to me that you were underneath a tent.
Oh, that was over at the Renaissance Festival.
Oh, okay. All right.
You're mixing up
of course I'm mixing it up.
Those two things are completely different.
Stream of consciousness, man. Stream of consciousness. All right.
But what is Joe called stream of consciousness? That's the question.
I think Joe is hopping on the show right now. We'll see. I just want to check and see if he shows up in the room. So, but yeah, so what happened over with the tent and everything?
Oh, that the answer.
It's not nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault.
Folks, this is about being aware of heat exhaustion.
Yes.
This was on a very hot day. We had something that we thought would be a good sunshade, but what it did was it trapped the heat instead of just keeping the sun off you. So pay attention to your temperature. I mean, right now it's a nice cool day. We didn't even get to the weather yet.
We have not gotten to the weather yet.
Not the hippy dippy weather with the hippy dippy weatherman.
Hey, well, wait.
That's George
I
Carlin.
thought you were the hippy dippy weatherman.
It's George Carlin, bro.
Okay.
May
All right.
he rest in peace.
So it transcends all of us.
Right.
Wild, man. Totally wild. All right, let's look for the weather. Let's find out what's happening. And yes, for those of you that are wondering, why aren't you going to rocklandsnews.com to get your weather? It's because this is audio. So 63 degrees right now, high of 75, 54 degrees low, partially cloudy today. Tomorrow, Saturday, it's going to be 75 degrees and sunny, 55 degree low. We have Joe Call coming in right now. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, his audio.
And then Sunday is going to be 78 degrees and raining, 56 degree low. It's going to be rainy and cloudy and blah, blah, blah. But for the rest of the week thereafter, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 77. Oh, check this out. That's trippy. 77 degrees Monday, 77 degrees Tuesday, 77 degrees Wednesday. Dramatic pause. 77 degrees Thursday and Friday.
Wait. I think the meteorologist just went cut and paste.
I mean, either he's doing his job, or mathematically speaking, that is a very trippy thing.
But Yahtzee.
You know, I've never played Yahtzee.
Never played Yahtzee.
Do you have Yahtzee?
I'd have to look.
We need to play Yahtzee, man.
Does anyone have a Yahtzee game out there?
Yeah.
Write into Tom. If you have a Yahtzee game you are willing to give up, we would like to play Yahtzee on the air. We'll do some sort of video or something.
Why not?
Right?
Why not? Let's
Tom
make it
playing Yahtzee it'll be a reaction video.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a good yin yang to the very serious issues that we're dealing with. You know, obviously with the CHPE pipeline, retail crisis as a result. And we do have Joe Call. So again, for those of you that are listening, apologies if the audio is bad today. We're going to try this and see if it works. And if not, the backup plan is I'm going to call up Joe Call. And great last name. Perfect for it.
Say that 15 times fast.
Joe, can you hear us?
Yes, guys. How you doing?
Joe.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Damn it. Okay.
And not.
All right. So I'm going to message Joe.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
All right.
I wish I had a genie. That was I Dream of Genie.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Just trying to pop back.
That actually, I got to tell you, that actually kind of is my dream. And let's see if Joe, can you hear me, brother?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Speak.
Hello.
Okay. So if you can't hear us, we are having some technical difficulties today. Not Joe's fault, but we want to keep on forging ahead. Joe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call you right now.
Great.
I'm going to call you right now, man. Boom.
So while we're waiting to this, here's the frivolous question. Are you a genie person or bewitched?
I'm a genie person. I'm absolutely a genie person.
I love Samantha Stevens.
Hey, Joe. It is Tom and Mike on AM Rockland News. Thanks for being on the show today.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So we're all very sorry about the audio issues today. Usually it goes smoothly. We've done like literally 80 episodes over this year. But so just to get right to the point, and we won't waste too much of your time. But basically, you were at the third, what we're calling the CHPE North Rockland retail crisis. And, you know, just to paint the picture, we had Supervisor Monahan there from the town of Stony Point, Assemblyperson Christopher Ekis. I got to get the right wording there. Of course, Stephanie Malowski and the board from North Rockland Chamber of Commerce, and about 20 to 30 local business owners that are dealing with this crisis on Route 9W, where traffic and construction is happening. And they started talking about how the negotiation that's happening where CHPE is offering some money in order to help local businesses, and the current offer is $150,000. I remember very clearly you stood up, and this video is available on Rockland's News, and you talked about some of the numbers that CHPE basically is inputs and outputs. So maybe you could bring up a little bit about what you said that evening.
Sure, great. So I do not have a business in the area, but when I saw the offer and I started doing the numbers in my head, based upon basic math and conversations that I've had with multiple businesses, it was extremely insulting. And I think I was on the low end, but basically what I was saying, I heard that about 80 businesses were affected. And I think it's way more. I think a lot of people are affected that don't even realize it. After talking to a couple other people that were at the meeting.
Joe, is that 80 businesses in Stony Point or 80 businesses in North Rockland?
I think that's in North. I think that's in Haverstraw and Stony Point, but then you have Clarkstown. So I think it's way more than they even realize is being affected. And the problem is that you're really dealing with like 2 or 3 different politicians. And honestly, once I started doing research, this isn't even a New York State thing. This is actually a federal thing. So I'll go over the math that I came up with real quick. I figured on average, these businesses, we'll say do $500,000 a year. Now, some that's a little bit high and some that's a little bit low. So if you have 80 businesses and they do 500,000, that's about 40 million of gross revenue that they're doing. Some of these businesses are down by 80 or 90%. So if you look at Yummy's, he's down by like 80, 90%. Other businesses are down by 30%. Allegan said he was down by like 50%, 60%. The beverage center, I know he's way down. I know he's down. I don't know how by how much. And I know kind of what he does in business. So, you do the math, that's 40 million. If say on average, everyone's down 30%, that's $12 million in loss in revenue.
Whoa.
And that's on the low end because the things that's not being factored in, and local plumber Kevin, look at the math. Him and his son are in the car an extra half an hour a day. Kevin owns the business, but he pays his son by the hour.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have sanitation companies that are affected. You have, local landscaping guys that are affected. You have everyone. The school district with the busing, that takes longer. The school district with their employees that have to go from place to place. Local, municipalities, building inspectors, everyone's affected. And, this company, Blackstone, if you look, has been sued numerous times. They actually own a 1,500 unit apartment building in Queens. And they had a class action lawsuit against them because it was a rent controlled building and they were overcharging their tenants. They settled for $15 million.
Wow.
Which wouldn't even.
They're sued all the time. The federal government's looking into that. And I think what needs to happen, and I don't know how to orchestrate this, you really need all the businesses in one place. You need the federal government there, and you need your local politicians.
Yeah, like if this were to happen, it would be like a unified effort, if you will.
You need because honestly, the only reason this pipeline was allowed, I started doing some research after a couple people spoke at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was coming out of Canada and coming into New York, they needed a presidential permit to do this.
Interesting.
And if you do the research, I actually the other day called New York State Small Businesses Association. I called a couple different divisions. I tried to call the federal government for the Department of Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a lot bigger than anyone thinks. And honestly, this is, and I know it's going to be a little controversial when I say this.
We're being objective. It's totally your call, whatever you're saying.
This is the electric version of the Keystone Pipeline.
Gotcha. Okay. And
except it's not going across all those other states.
Mm-hmm.
It's just coming out of Canada and going to Queens. And we gained nothing from it. The tax revenue for the businesses, when they're gone, it doesn't mean anything for them. The new streets, it's not going to mean anything to these businesses. These are small businesses that are employing, 2, 3, 4 people in the local community. Beckerly Lumber is huge. They're heavily affected. 2 years ago they had their best year in the county, and now they're getting obliterated by this. Titan Gym, they have no back parking lot. The poor owner, Ron, he's valeting cars. He's lost tons of members. Those people might never go back to his gym.
Wow.
These are people that invest. Their overhead is $35,000 a month, maybe more.
Yeah.
Insurance is high. Everything's expensive. And, if you go and look, and I went to the county records yesterday, a lot of these property owners got hundreds of thousands of dollars for their easements. There's about 40 that are, which I can't believe more people didn't get paid. There's about 40 on record. The highest one I saw, I think it was 450,000. That's for the plaza where the Chase is in Stony Point.
Right.
They got 450,000. Business owners were offered money to shut down, from what I was told by several of them, but not enough to even cover what they were doing in revenue.
Yeah, and and we're talking about math is the bottom line here, and how it affects all of the other participants, even tertiary. You mentioned about the buses, the traffic, the school districts.
Everyone.
Yeah. It's like a cascade, the butterfly effect, if you will.
And the local people. And you know what? At the end of the day, when the money comes in, the tax money that's supposed to come in comes in, guess what? The local people aren't going to see much from it. It's not like our taxes are going to go down for the inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're going to be paying less. I mean, hopefully it's used for good, but there was the local people definitely gained nothing from it. And a lot of these businesses are on the brink of maybe going out of business.
Yeah, and from what Rockland News has found thus far, about 2 businesses thus far, and this is from about 2 weeks ago, have already gone out of business. There is also another beautiful restaurant, I should say, up in Stony Point, Sazoni Pilon.
I was there the other night.
Yeah, and we know the owners there, and they took it on. I mean, they have another restaurant, but they took it on faith to do this restaurant up in Stony Point. And it's just nestled in, by the way, this is not an advertisement. This is just from my perspective. It's just a beautiful little restaurant that's tucked inside of Patriot Square. And you could always actually miss it if you don't look twice. But if you go in,
Certainly,
I mean, the food is, yes. Yeah, especially if there's construction.
Which is to our point.
To the point. Yeah.
Like, if you cannot get to these businesses and they are retail stores, retail restaurants, this is what's killing us, people. The fact that the corporate juggernaut is just rolling through. And Joe, I want to get back to you said that it was a presidential signature that allowed this to hapen.
It was 2014 it was done, and then 2022.
So that's under Obama, correct?
It was. I'm trying not to make this political.
Right. Yeah.
I just want to be clear, so this happened a long time ago.
I'll say this, Joe, and I appreciate that you said that, because we're, and one of the focuses of the show is to keep it Rockland based. And I'll give you a funny little analogy if I can, Mike, and if you'll placate me. So we had a reporter that went and spoke with Mike Lawler, and the first question that he asked was, "What do you think about like Elon Musk and so and so?" I'm like, no, you just don't bring that up. What's happening in Rockland?
Right.
Like, that's where it's at, yo. Yeah, brother.
But we as Rockland need to come together against the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Fed is just coming and doing whatever they want to do. And it doesn't matter what side of party you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of why I wanted to know when this was signed.
Yeah.
So long ago that they're not even thinking about us. And the person who signed that has no decision making about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we as Rockland need to stop focusing so much on that level, other than to defend ourselves from it, because they're making decisions that affect us and they don't care.
Yep.
I don't care if you're red or blue. They don't care about us in Rockland like that on the federal level.
Tell us how you really feel, Mike.
I feel like Ed Day's doing a great job, and I love that.
I think, honestly, the thing that would be the best and help everyone You get everyone in one room, even if they don't like each other. Who really cares?
Right.
You get Mike.
We
Waller
have
in
a
the
common
room.
enemy.
You get
It's
Chris
the
Ekus
Fed.
in the room. You get Harcum. You get Howard.
Yeah.
You get Jim if we can do this while he's still there. You get Clarkstown involved. You get
Interesting.
all their representatives in the room. You get everyone in the room. You bring in the news. And you show everyone what's going on here because of this.
Yeah.
And you let them know, look, we're either going to bring it to the federal government level and let them see how you're stripping away rights of small businesses, or we're going to go the other route and do class action lawsuit.
And Kevin Nolan actually brought that up in the meeting, and it's interesting because
and I got him the contact information for the company that sued them, and they settled for $15 million in Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other lawyers out there that I'm sure would love to take them on, because the federal government is, you know what's funny? They're a business too. Blackstone is a business, right?
Right.
A huge business.
Right.
And they're killing small business, you know.
Well, it's interesting, you know, and taking it out of the realm of the current CHPE North Rockland retail crisis is, you know, I find it interesting, and I'm a business owner now for about 18 years. Plus, my grandfather had a bike store, and I was the nerd in the back of the bike store, you know, like playing Nintendo and putting a bike together. So I've been like all about
Nintendo. You must have been very old. You must be very old.
I'm turning, man, next month I'm turning 50. It's like I'm
so a half a century.
Some say it's the halfway point. I think it's the 2/3 point, but who the heck knows, right? But it's like, and that's 66 or 67%, something like that.
Well, unless you're a Highlander.
That's true, but we don't, you know.
No Highlander.
Which
is not in Rockland.
I do not know, neither here nor there. But you know, as a small business, you know, it's interesting because there's almost like a narrative and a character arc that goes along with like the desire to prosper. And what I find very interesting, and also public perception, and this is where, you know, I'm looking at this, trying to look at this intellectually. You mentioned, you know, Joe, Blackstone, and we have CHPE, we have Orange and Rockland, okay? And, you know, clean manufacturing, or, you know, the old term was industrial, right? So what I find interesting is as the organization gets bigger and bigger, the perception that the organization is a big bad conglomerate grows. And it might not even be just with, for instance, it might not even be just with like, you know, a small business versus a medium business. You could talk about like a company doing very well in an area with just like 10, 15 employees, but the perception of it could be just as bad as like a very, very large company that comes in. So I always find the public perception of businesses and business owners fascinating, if you will. Now, the thing that really differentiates is, I think if those businesses do try to do some goodwill, I think that helps them to grow. So, and it's interesting because, you know, when we have CHPE, we have Orange and Rockland, and, you know, they've done some, they've put some money out there. I mean, from what I understand, it's like a $31 million in a community givebacks across Stony Point, Haverstraw, and Clarkstown. Now, that's not obviously addressing right now. And that's where the problem is, because those businesses are literally like, they're on the knife's edge, basically.
That's door.
Yeah. And that goes, and then it's like this, you know, this effort to try to look at it mathematically so that we can be objective. And this leads me to my next question, because I was stream of consciousness thing for a little bit. But Joe, tell me, you have a fascination with math.
Yes, I run a fairly large small business. I've had as many as 100 employees. And you know what? When you run a business, you have to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
That can save you hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars just by sitting down, doing the numbers, and figuring it out. And that's how I make a lot of my business decisions. It's all math driven. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, there's so much that we learn in school. Some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. With me, I admit, like, you know, not a lot stuck, but I realized like later on, I was like, wow, this stuff was useful. And then I went back to it. So I'm coming back to it over the last 5 years, almost like a little kid that's like, you know, getting back in, math hacks and stuff like that. Are there any sort of like, things that you've encountered? Like, are you into percentages? Are you into
everything? I use everything because you know it is when you're doing a new, and a lot of businesses when they start out, this is what they have to do. You got to sit down and you got to figure out a basic formula for success.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the bottom line, just to break even. When someone opens up a business, they're like, I'm going to open up a business. So my rent's $1,000, but they don't factor in the Orange and Rockland. They don't factor in the insurance. They don't factor in. And you got to do all the math, put all the numbers in and be like, well, it costs me $273 a day to open up.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to generate more than $273 a day.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I've built businesses and successful businesses. And, you have to sit there and that's your base point. How can I generate, hypothetically, $273 a day? Another thing, this company, and this is a number that I didn't throw out yet, was this is a $6 billion project.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They gave Riverkeeper $140 million to, they're going to fix up the river. They paid for Orange and Rockland to move the gas line. In 2024, they had to put it out. Now, this has been going on since 2014. In 2024, they contacted Orange and Rockland and said, listen, you guys are going to either have to move it or we're going to move it, but we're going to pay you to do it. $30 million. So not only did Orange and Rockland get paid to move their gas lines, they're probably upgrading all the services. So that'd be like someone coming to a restaurant and being like, oh, your kitchen equipment's 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we're going to do? You need to upgrade it because of whatever, and we're going to give you the money to do it. What's Orange and Rockland going to say? No.
Right. Exactly.
Finally today, the bridge in Stony Point, they finally started working on it today. It's been close to a month. Why didn't they allow people to use the bridge for a month? It would have alleviated, some of the issues.
Yes.
Because on the macro, Blackstone and the people up top don't even consider us because we are so splintered and we have all of these little voices. And we need to get together. The citizens of Rockland County need to come together as one voice. And as Davy and Goliath, speak up and be heard. Because right now, why should Blackstone care?
And just
because
I'm gonna
from a place of numbers and money,
right?
Until we say something, they don't care about us. And why should they? Because we're just a speck along their pipeline.
Now let me play devil's advocate on this one, and just in the sake of fairness, in that I'm not going to play devil's advocate per se. I could be perceived as devil's advocate on this, but I do think that there are people in upper levels of management and higher levels of that do care. I'll say that it's just because there's a lot of stuff that's coming at them at once, and they don't know. But then, what do they have to prioritize first? Is the question.
They are not seeing the faces. They have never even heard of Rocky Alexander, right? So why should they care about any of those names? Because they don't know. Until we all speak up as one voice, as North Rockland, saying we've had enough and you guys need to do something.
Yeah, indeed.
Why would they even consider it?
Listen, they have the place in Haverstraw. I've called there numerous times, never got an answer. I know people have emailed them and called them with concerns, never got an answer. Washburn's Lane over there, now with the construction, how it's moved down the road.
Yeah.
It's a death trap. The other day, I was trying to pull out and make a left after the meeting. I shoot down Washburn's Lane because you got to go down Lowland Park. I live in Tompkins Cove.
Gotcha, yeah.
So traffic's backed up past the gas station, past the Mexican restaurant, past God only knows how far. Some guy is coming down. Only one car is coming northbound to make a left onto Washburn's Lane. So I'm like, I can go. I'm clear. Then coming southbound in the passing lane, some guy wants to make a right onto Washburn's Lane. So he's using the passing lane to come all the way down to make a right onto Washburn's Lane, crossing the person that's sitting there idling. That's a death trap over there right now.
Indeed.
I was actually going to reach out to the supervisor. I don't want to drive him crazy, but they need more people to be directing traffic, They need to, they don't care. And these businesses, you know what? Great, they moved that night. The poor guy at the diner has people driving through his parking lot. I seen a guy that same day shot through the gas station.
Wow.
Accidents are going to happen.
Accidents.
Bad accidents are going to happen.
Yeah.
Pedestrians are going to get hit. And you know what? It's disgusting. And a year from now, it's going to all be over.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
not, because these projects take way longer than we ever think they do. Let's take the circle at Hammond Road. They said it was going to take, what, 6 months, and it took them 2 years?
Yes.
Oh, that was great. I got to tell you, that was like the most enjoyable part of my work here at Rockland's News is we did a tutorial on how to use a roundabout.
Did you play Yes's roundabout song while you did
Let
it?
me go yesterday.
What?
A guy let me go yesterday. They still don't know how to use it. For me to go into the circle. I said to my son, they don't know how to use it. He just started laughing. My 11-year-old realized.
I want to. We're doing a Black Sabbath tribute band thing. Like, we're in the studio now, just working on it. I would love to play in the middle of that circle.
Oh my God! It would be. You know what?
Everywhere.
It probably goes smoother than it is now.
Yeah, right. And just all the fans are in like cars, and they're just like going around this. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I wish I knew how to. I've called Mike Waller's office. I mean, Chris and Pete. They've been to the meetings. I don't understand why Chippy's not bringing a representative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
3 meetings and
if they ignore us, maybe we'll go away.
Well, the thing is, when they're out of town, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
What 2 businesses went out of business because of this, if you don't mind disclosing it?
I can't, unfortunately. And not because I'm not allowed to. It's because I don't know.
In Haverstraw and Stony Point?
Stony Point, from what I understand, yes.
Well, between me and you, I'm going to tell you there's more, and you just don't know about it, because there's one in Haverstraw that I passed recently. It's going to become a different place. I think they closed because of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think any business that started up in the last year that was like, I'm going to take a shot and start my own business.
Yeah.
They got a raw deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's insurmountable. And, the bottom line is I don't know how to set this up, but I really think everyone's got to get in the room. You got to bring in the news. You got to show the rest of the county. You're always driving through Thiels. If you live in Thiels and you never have to go to, and you don't go to 9, it doesn't matter. It didn't affect you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what's going on, People are very segmented. Like, there's people that only stay north of the bridge. There's people that only never go north of the bridge. There's only people that stay south of the bridge. Years ago, my sister-in-law was in business for 57 years. And we looked at a place north of the bridge when she sold her place.
Right.
And she used to always stay. But she was there for 57. North of the bridge, there's nothing going on there. But she was in business for 57 years. Now it's different. There's a lot more houses. There's a lot more people living up there, But for years, there was nothing. If you went into business in 1952 to like 1970 something, there was almost nothing north of the bridge besides the pharmacy and a couple of small businesses.
Right. I mean, I've only been here since 1982, and we were in West Haverstraw with my family's bicycle store. And I would say that, we didn't go to, but every once in a while, head over to Bear Mountain, and it was country roads. It was John Denver, still is for the most part.
Yes.
And it's interesting how infrastructure influences that. I'm a big fan of playing Sim City, Cityscape, stuff like that. And one of the biggest things that happens in urban and residential development is making sure that the pipelines are in the right place. And I find it fascinating that that's almost happening in reverse, at least at the moment, with the pipeline issues.
It seems like a lot of what's going on in today's society is going in reverse of what you would think we should be going to as a people and as a society.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they read the propaganda of what you should not do because this is the scary thing. And go, ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're not saying.
Well, they used eminent domain for some of this project. They've used it all.
Wow.
They've used it all to bring energy down to Queens.
Interesting.
It's crazy. I mean, I just wish. And you know what? I'm going to keep calling Mike Waller's office. I think the local level, these people have all been to meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They show that they're interested, but you know what? New York State's supposed to be business friendly.
Right.
So why aren't the people that are for business development? I called the one office.
Because this is a federal thing, like you said.
It's
Well,
just for lending, and they know that.
yeah.
They know that deep down inside, they know that.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just get through it. It's over, and it's collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
people don't talk about people that lost their houses years ago. People don't talk. People forget the history. You know, we were destroyed by $333 million. Now we're destroyed by $6 billion because this $6 billion project is gonna just obliterate us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting what's going to happen. I mean, quite frankly, it's literally, I mentioned before, a stone's throw away. Rock's Kitchen is right across the way. I do have to say that I'm really, I stepped down from the North Rockland Chamber of Commerce at the end of last year. I'm still helping out here and there, just kind of like doing things more on the technical end. But I have to say, and Mary Morrison Rodriguez, Lauren Isaacs Shimko, Rocky Alexander, Julia Kushner, Stephanie Malowski is the president, but the board is like, it's, I'm almost, I feel pride.
Oh,
and I don't say that often. I
What
feel pride.
What do you
I'm really proud of what they're doing. And, I got a little bit on Mary's case a few weeks ago and a few things and everything that they were not too happy with me. I was just like, hey, just like if this is really something that you care about, get involved and stuff like that. And since then, they've held these meetings. And from what I understand, Mary and Rocky Alexander, they walked the entire 9W corridor from past the bridge, like up in the Tompkins Cove area, close to, all the way down to West Haverstraw and further. So that is impressive. I haven't done that in many years, but that's one of the things that we did with the chamber. So,
between me and you,
yeah,
not only do they have to do it, the
Well,
politicians have to do it too.
Yeah, right. Many
and
different.
Then you have to have a meeting.
Mm-hmm. And
Congress is a war zone too. You go drive through Congress. We don't think about it. I drive there. My daughter worked at Rockland Lake. She was the head lifeguard there. And Congress, they got the plates. A lot of people don't think it affects them as much, but there's auto body shops there. There's a lot more, there are different types of businesses. They're all being affected.
Mm-hmm. And typically retail businesses, especially restaurants, operate on a razor thin margin. I think it's somewhere, just general estimates by various 3 to 5% margin.
Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to do the triple food costing times 3 is how you're supposed to figure it out. So the first is the cost of your food. The second, when you mark it up, is supposed to be cover your labor, and the third is supposed to be your profit. Mm-hmm. That's the formula. It doesn't always work like that, especially
right.
Especially beef just went up 9%.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors involved in it, but that's how when you do your food costing, it's supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if every restaurant that gets into business is, some of them just know how to cook, right? So they open up a business because they know how to cook.
Right.
But, it's a shame because we'll be left with nothing. We'll have no place to go eat. And honestly, there's other businesses, you look at Dunkin' Donuts. Well, that's a big brand, mm-hmm. but someone owns that franchise. So,
Yeah, exactly.
You look at the Wendy's, someone owns that franchise.
Yes.
Like, it's not a big corporation. Wendy's is another one. My son does Karate International, Domingo. He has no parking over there right now. He's been around for 50 years.
Wow.
I'm sure it's affected him a little bit. You got the urgent care. A local guy from Pomona owns that.
Mm-hmm. Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy. You got in West Haverstraw, Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy. Dr. Nick Kirkpatrick. He's a great dude. Yep. And real people being affected.
Now, we did just speak with Senator Weber earlier.
Yes.
And he is encouraging everyone to contact his office. Joe, I encourage you to contact.
The problem is, I'm going to contact it. It's a divided, and I'm sorry to cut you off. He covers like Haverstraw. He doesn't cover Stony Point. There's a big divide.
Right, but the problem that we're looking at is a collective problem. And if you can give Senator Weber some of these numbers that you've come up with, because we asked him about these numbers and he did not have them.
He's an accountant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's a CPA, I believe.
Correct? Yeah. And did you say that you're gonna give him a buzz?
I'll call him. I called Mike Lawler's office already 3 times.
Dig it.
No, no, this very morning, Tom and I discussed this with Senator Weber. Please, when we're done here on the news, I encourage you and all of our listeners to contact Senator Weber's office, because he told us this very morning that he wants to take this to the governor, and he needs the numbers, because I asked those numbers that you gave me on this the show.
Yes.
Senator Weber didn't have them, so please pass them on in the best.
I've been doing quick math.
Yeah.
I generated that. I figured out that on average these businesses are doing, and you're gonna laugh, $1,333 works to be about a little over $40,000, and then 40,000 times 12, $480,000. That's how I got to the $500,000 number. I don't think that's ridiculous. I mean, I have a store that does sometimes a lot more, sometimes a little bit less. I don't think that's a ridiculous number. So that's how I got it. But I'll sit there and talk to businesses. I'll go if they want me to go with them business to business. I understand how business works,
Yeah. Right.
And that's why I got involved. When I saw that insult of 150,000 and people are happy about it, I'm like, that's insulting.
So that
even cover 2 employees.
Right. Yes, exactly. So and when I had the bike store, and I kept on telling my mom this, my mom was happy. And I'm going back, literally to the 90s. Like, we pulled in, and this is the truth. Man. Yeah, the 90s. Yeah, we pulled in like, I'm not kidding, like $140 for the day, and she was celebratory. And nothing. I love my mom. Thankfully she's happy and healthy. Still arguing with my uncle up in Highland Falls, but it's like I told my mom, I was like, Mom, revenue does not equal profit. And that was one of the core premises. It's like, all of those expenses, all those things. So, from your perspective, and you did, and this is why you're on the show today, and you literally broke it down, percentages, numbers, and it was fascinating,
Yeah, I just want these guys to be in business. I don't care, political aside.
Right.
I do not like anyone to be taken advantage of. I do not like anyone to be, it bothers me. I was so mad when I was speaking, because the more I spoke about it, it just infuriates me. I run someone else's business. They treat me very good. And I wouldn't want that to happen to his business. And I wouldn't want it to happen to anyone's business. I wouldn't want it to happen to anyone. I don't want anyone to, these people are being taken advantage. They're being exploited. The landlord's got a ton of money. Listen, they paid for easements for the next forever.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Those landlords are paying a ton of taxes on some of these properties. So it probably over the 30 years, their use probably doesn't even cover the taxes. There's 3 sides, to the whole thing. And it's just, to me, I'm going to call Weber's office right after I get off of here. And I'll call Chris's office, and I'll call Pete's office again, because I've called him about things. And,
concise.
I don't
really care. I'm going to the numbers, because that's what these folks need. They need concise numbers to bring to the next level, to try and help us. Because we can go in there with our passions and our rah-rahs, and you got to feel about this guy and that guy. But Governor Hochul doesn't know who we are. She just needs to know that Stony Point and Havistar are having an economic crisis, and she needs to put tax revenue towards it, or put pressure to the federal government to do something about that. And what Senator Weber's office needs is numbers in a concise way. And Joe, I think you can do that for us. Please help us out as the community.
I think that we should deputize Joe Call as what do you think, Mike?
A chief detective investigator?
Joe, raise your right hand. No, don't do that. Don't do that. We're not gonna.
Listen,
but yeah.
I'm not afraid to call people. I'm not afraid to email people.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to look things up. I don't, this is bothering me more and more.
By the numbers, though, my friend, because that's what they need. They know we're all upset.
Yeah.
They know it. They don't need more of us being upset. What they need are hard data and hard facts. So, folks out there, when you reach out to your senators, I understand that we're all passionate about this. We are all very upset about it. But what he needs now is data and information, so we can take it to the next level, so we can maybe get something done about this.
Right.
Because right now, all BlackRock hears is a bunch of people crying, and they don't care.
Indeed.
Blackstone. Don't say BlackRock. That's a different company.
Oh, sorry.
But I'll tell you, and I'll mention this, Joe, and really, again, thank you for being on the show. This has been fascinating. But when you contact the representatives and mention it, if they'd like to be on AM Rockland and talk about it, we could do the roundtable. We're actually, and I feel terrible because this is the first time that you've been on the show. And again, we had to do this by phone rather than just patching into our podcast studio. So I think it's time that we need to do the upgrade, Mike. I think it's time. Yeah.
For upgrades.
So Joe, the next time what?
Maybe we can get Chippy to pay for it.
I'm not holding my breath on that. I think I'm more on the Ralph Waldo Emerson side of the thing. I think it's like self-reliant. He's like, just do things yourself. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this together. And Joe, the next time you're on the show, hopefully the audio will be nicer. Thank you for being on AM Rockland News today. And actually let's go grab lunch sometime if it's all right.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Maybe at Rock's Kitchen. Support your local business.
Well, that was the plan. All
right. I'm just telling for our listeners out there.
Yes, yeah.
Always support your local business.
All right, brother. Well, have a good one, man.
Thanks, bye.
All right. So Joe call. And, this is the first time that I really got a chance to talk with him in detail, right? And I think he brought the passion, like when passion and numbers get together, some really interesting things that happen.
Yes, because you get lots of good ideas coming out of that. The issue becomes if you overburden the people who need the ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call the data ammunition for this war, economic war that we're having here, small business versus big business, right?
Yeah, it is definitely not just a scuffle.
The ammunition that our politicians need to go fight this battle for us is concise data.
Mm-hmm.
And
right,
there was definitely data in there.
There was, yeah.
But the listeners, we need to write things down in a concise way and bullet point ways with the explanation behind them, so folks like Senator Weber can go fight this battle for us.
Yeah,
because he can't fight it without the information.
Yeah,
and the information is not our feelings. The information is the facts.
Yeah, yeah. And as well, I actually don't want to invoke other podcasters right now, not because it's about me, but I feel terrible about what happened over the last few days, and there's a lot of podcasters that, they speak their mind during their podcast and they gain an audience. Maybe they don't. But, I think that it's important that we have the ability to express ourselves in these platforms as long as we're, not inciting, things. I'm just going to leave it at that because I really feel terrible about that.
Well, and remember, Tom,
yeah.
Feelings aren't facts.
Feelings aren't facts.
The fact is that in North Rockland, in Congers, in Clarkstown, our small businesses are losing significant amounts of revenue because a big business is walking over us like a giant stepping on ants.
Do you think that it's important for the ant to still conduct oneself as an ant during this process?
The strongest thing about the ant is the colony, and we are the community. My daughter, she taught me all about this whole thing. She's really into ant mentality and all that. So
not uncle mentality,
not uncle's ant. Yeah. The greatest thing about the ant colony is their ability to work together. And that's the thing that and we don't want to be drones, right? We are human beings, so we are not insects. The one thing we can learn and we can take from that hive mentality is that us little folk, us small little businesses, if we work together in our community, in our region, we have a much stronger voice and there's a much stronger chance of us being successful against Goliath up there.
Yeah.
Because again, they're not even paying attention. They don't know who we are. They don't care. They're just trying to do their money thing. $6 billion. $6 billion is a huge amount, even to our towns.
It's quite a considerable sum. I will say that.
It's a drop in the bucket for them.
Well, and that's the interesting thing about the amount of retail loss in the area. So, we don't have an actual, there's the form on northrocklandchamber.org, right? and you click on a button. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. I don't have the.
It's the sneeze button. Oh no.
Okay.
Sneeze button.
Yeah, I have a very interesting sneeze. All right. So northrocklandchamber.org/rescue, and that takes you to a form where if you're in Stony Point or North Rockland and you're a small business, Haverstraw, whatever. I shouldn't say whatever. Haverstraw. Oh, by the way, actually, I'm going to stop right here, and I'm actually going to bring something
Stop
up.
right there.
Stop
Meatloaf.
in the name. Okay.
Right.
Something that was on on social media yesterday kind of ruffled my feathers.
Did it grind your gears as well?
Not really, because I'm a friend of this guy, and
Okay.
he's a friend of mine. I hope that we both get along. But I had to correct the
I thought
record
you
on
were
something.
about to just give the citizens a way to contact.
Oh, we are.
And what about? I know we are a little North Rockland centric here, but and Joe brought this up. I'm sorry to derail really, but
It's okay.
Focus
It'll help. It'll give me some
So-
time to like calibrate.
Joe was like, but that's not my guy.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a Stony Point guy. He's the Haverstraw guy.
Mhm.
Well, this is not I'm a Stony Point guy. This is a Haverstraw guy problem. This is a 9W and Rockland problem. And
Well,
I
that's
don't
true.
care-
Yeah.
I don't care if you're from Clarkstown, Stony Point, or Haverstraw. Call all of them because we are all affected together in this.
Yeah. And so far, there's been 3 meetings. So the first one was over at Rock's Kitchen. Senator Harkin was there. The second one was with Senator Weber, who we had on the show today. And then
Right.
the third one was with Chris Ekis. And apologies this morning. I really have to look that up. I got to do my
Anyway.
research.
So,
So,
why aren't all 3 of them in the same room together?
well, that's an interesting thing.
I know scheduling is difficult.
Scheduling is difficult, and you got things that are happening, like for instance, the senior fair that's happening next.
Maybe they should all go to the senior fair because the senior fair is for Rockland.
Yeah, but the thing is that like it's for like that's about like the senior fair, and then it's like taking 2 topics and putting them together and muddling one versus the other
Wait,
up.
like putting the seniors with Rockland Music Fest.
You just made me stutter, man.
Did the seniors like Rockland Music Fest?
Well, what's
Do they
interesting
like
about
rock?
that?
I-
What's interesting about that is that, and Rockland Music Fest is going to be over at Clover Stadium on September 27th with our headliner band, Magical Mystery Doors.
I mean, some of those seniors might be old enough to remember the actual Beatles.
Well, that's the thing. So you got the Beatles, the Doors, and Led Zeppelin, and they actually mashed together the songs, and that's the performance. It's amazing. They played down in Atlantic City. You were in Atlantic City. I was in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And they're the Bergen Performing Arts Center. So really amazing bands. Plus, you got 9 other local bands that we've sourced that are going to be playing there. Plus, there's going to be like food and games and concessions and food trucks. We have an open mic stage. Mike, look to your right. What is that?
I would say that is a multicolored, inflatable beach ball.
That is correct. What would the size of that beach ball be, just roughly?
The appropriate one for the seniors to have a great time. So seniors.
Wait. Hold on. Yes, there's beach balls, but like that's about the size of like your standard beach ball, right?
I guess.
We're
yeah.
getting a 78 centimeter diameter, no, 78-inch beach ball, like a big beach ball.
I don't know if that
Yeah,
is safe for seniors.
it's not.
So maybe the seniors should have their
Well,
safe
that's
section.
listen, let me put it this way. I mean, I would say that the beach ball is not going to be that heavy where it's going to crush anyone. Where are we going with this?
I was trying to say that the seniors should be invited extra special
To Rockland Music Fest, coming September 27th to Clover Stadium with our headliner, Magical Mystery Doors. And by the way, proceeds to Meals on Wheels Rockland, celebrating 50 years of
and
service.
they also help the seniors.
Well, that's the point.
We're senior centric today.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. But here's what I'm interested about. You broke the Tommy.
I think I break the Tommy at least once a show. I mean, I should really have a chalkboard of Tommy breakings. But what
Go
we
ahead,
are serious
Mike.
about
Go ahead.
is citizens of Rockland
Yes.
come and listen to the show.
Right.
And when you are having thoughts and concerns about the crises in your locality, let us know on the show. We want to bring it up. One of the things that are near and dear to mine and Tommy's hearts, because we live so close to the 9W corridor, is this economic crisis that we are having in North Rockland and in Clarkstown, because a big juggernaut of a company is just coming and doing what they want. And we need to figure out a way to get together in the same room with the same voice and push for some defense against this.
Right.
Because it's going to kill us.
Yeah.
Economically.
Mm-hmm.
It will take a huge amount of resources to fix this. And these juggernaut companies have the resources, but they don't want to part with that. And with numbers in business, I understand that. So we need to get together and speak as one.
Right.
Contact all of the politicians, not just the ones in your neighborhood, and give them the numbers, give them your concerns, but be concise and work together.
Well, yeah, absolutely working together. And that's one of the things about AM Rockland's news here, is that we're looking for all sorts of opinions, all sorts of thoughts, all sorts of math. The math should be accurate. Come to the table
feelings
with
are important, but facts
don't care about your feelings. Exactly. Yeah. And that's where I was going with that before. But you know what? And I think what we're going to do, we're going to end the show here. But I think before anything, before we end the show, Mike, what do you think about just a quick moment of silence for those that we lost? Yesterday was September 11th. We lost, many cool people over the years. You and I have had losses. I was literally just upstairs. I was watching an old performance that we did in honor of two of our bandmates that passed away in a band called Scarshine, Mike Doherty and Woody, because we just called him Woody. He was the bassist. Okay. Amazing bassist, man. Oh, my God. And we lost him.
Liked Rockland Music Fest.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they're going to be there. In spirit, exactly. So I think what we should do, if this is all right, Mike, we're going to end our broadcast here, but we're going to end on a moment of silence. And that is for all of those that we loved and lost, but they're still perhaps around. And on behalf of Mike and Tom, thank you for tuning in to this episode of AM Rockland's News.
Join us at Rockland Music Fest
on September 27th.